Legacy Maker, the All Sports
The place is here and the time is now. Let's take it round for round. And people gather round. Let's see who can win the crown. All the marbles involved. Football, baseball, or golf. Who's dominating the hoops? Who's talking false or the truth? Yeah, come and show me your war face. I'll show you my war face. No holds barred, so for your sake, you better show up in good shape. Valuable information is key to your domination. So focus on preparation. Online is your reputation. Yeah, it's one-on-one. You and me, ain't no fear in me. You will see. When it comes to this, you be wearing the number 23. In debate, I hold my weight cause these sports I'm attached to it. Your legacy, get ready cause I'm gonna set a match to it. Hey. Burn 'em. Fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 legacy on fire. Fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 legacy on fire. Fire, 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 burn 'em. Fire, 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 legacy on fire.
This week's panel from the Legacy Maker Sports Network, James Brown, Lamonte Thomas, and special guest Jansen Harris of the Just Good Network. What is up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome to another episode of Legacy on Fire here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. I'm glad to have you all here with us today as we bring you episode 46 of Legacy on Fire, and we have a very esteemed panel today and a special guest. Let's go ahead and get it started by the introductions. Let's not play games with it. First, my man, he's my partner on here, my right hand on this bad boy, Mr. James Brown. What is up, James? How's everything going, brother?
Doing good, man. Glad to be back, ready to get into it with this week's panel. I think we got a great one on the way.
Ready for it. And then to his right, our man, the man, myth, and the legend himself, co-host of Commonwealth Sports Talk here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network, Mr. Lamonte Thomas. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing well, man. It's good to be back in the den. Let's get popping.
Let's get it going. And our special guest today from the Just Good Network. Man, if you haven't had a chance to go check out my man and his team's content, make sure you go on over, check out the Just Good Network, and make those things happen. Mr. Jansen Harris, how you doing, Jansen?
I'm doing good. Thank y'all for having me on. Appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Look, y'all, we got a full slate of topics to get into today. As you see, you like, Darrell, where's the clock? Well, it broke, but we'll fix that hopefully within 2 weeks. But I still got the buzzer, and we're still going to kind of make sure that nobody's going too long in this bad boy. But we're here to talk some great topics today. We got some good stuff, and we're going to start this one off, ladies and gentlemen, with one sentence. So we're going to start our first one sentence topic of the day with the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame. Ladies and gentlemen, they announced the other day this star-studded class for the 2023 Pro Basketball Hall of Fame. Dirk, D. Wade, Becky Hammond, Greg Popovich, Tony Parker, Paul Gasol. And if I'm missing one, I'll apologize. But I know my guys will help me out on that one. But it is an amazing class. So one sentence, fellas. I kind of want to know what your one sentence on the Pro Basketball Hall of Fame. James, we'll start with you first. What is your one sentence on this 2023 Pro Basketball Hall of Fame class?
I mean, you kind of said it already, man, but my one sentence would be star-studded class. Man, as you said, we have people in this class where, championships, they won as either coaches or players. Everyone here has made their mark on the league in some way, shape, or fashion. So I would go with that star-studded class.
All right. LT, we sliding to you next, man. One sentence on the 2023 Pro Basketball Hall of Fame class.
Man, I think I'll stick to one word. I'll say legendary, because that's what it is. Like James said, you got a lot of championships in there. A lot of people who've changed the game of basketball, forever. On that, you got Dirk. Who could forget about that run that he had?
We're going there. Jansen, your chance on this, man. One sentence. What are your thoughts on this 2023 Pro Basketball Hall of Fame class?
Y'all all hit on it, man. Legendary, just greatness. That's all I can say. Just every name on this list made a huge impact. They deserve it. They made their mark on the league. They have a strong love for basketball since coming out of the wound. Just outstanding.
Yeah, it's crazy how much power, and there's 3 San Antonio Spur ties on this class. So it's good to kind of see that that 5-time championship group get some love in this class. So congratulations, and of course my boy D Wade, we in the building. That's right. Or what? Wrong way. There we go. So congratulations to the 2023 Basketball Hall of Fame class. Next one on one sentence. Now we're gonna get to the fun stuff. Here we go. Lamar Jackson, we've talked about him over and over here on the show, but as the news comes out, we get a little bit more. So now we finally found out that Lamar Jackson has officially requested a trade, and his request actually happened back on March the 2nd, and I don't know how they were able to hold this for 4 weeks and nobody really knew about it. So Lamar, I'll start with you on this one. What's your one sentence on the Lamar Jackson requesting a trade?
My one sentence is bet on yourself. As fans, we want to see Lamar playing. We do. But you think about the quarterback market in the last 3 contracts, that he's comparing himself to, being Deshaun Watson, Murray, and Russell Wilson. I mean, out of all the 4, you ask an owner who you rather have on your team, it's far and away Lamar Jackson. Bet on yourself.
Bet on yourself. James, I'm going to head to you next. One sentence on Lamar Jackson finally, well, I guess officially requesting a trade.
I would say my one sentence would have to be the plot thickens. As we've seen, Lamar Jackson's been the talk of the town this offseason as far as where is he going to play next, what's going to happen as far as his contract situation. And again, we're seeing another development in the story. Apparently, he requested a trade on March 2nd, and that was prior to the March 7th deadline of the non-exclusive franchise tag being placed on him. So, he requested a trade. He made it known, hey, I'd like to be out of Baltimore if you all can't meet my demands. So we'll see where the story goes next. But it definitely looks more and more each day like Lamar Jackson will be playing for somebody else in 2023.
It's going to be very intriguing. Jansen, we head to you next, my man. On this Lamar Jackson situation, what is your one sentence on Lamar Jackson trade request?
Oh, it might be more than a sentence, but to me, at first I hated on Lamar Jackson coming into the league. I was like, this isn't going to work out. Even though I loved him in college, it's weird. I was like, this can't translate. Then I seen him that MVP year, and to me, that was the year Russell Wilson had his best season. He was must-see TV. Look, I'm a Jets guy, pay attention to the Falcons because I'm in Georgia. But I was like, damn, every single game I have to watch Lamar Jackson. He's doing something crazy. So to me, I'm glad. Like you said, man, bet on yourself. I hope he gets that money. I don't blame him. It's time for him to go. Somebody's gonna pay.
I got a question for you, Jansen. As a Packers fan, as you know, when are you gonna take my quarterback so I can move on?
Yeah, man, that's something. I don't know. I'm ready. Look, I'm one of those delusional Jet fans. I feel like we already won the Super Bowl. We won the offseason Super Bowl. There's so much hype going around. Aaron Rodgers, he's doing this NBA LeBron thing. He should have had a special, if you ask me. He should have went on ESPN and was like, look, I'm going to the Jets. I'm going to save this historically crappy franchise. I got all these MVPs. I should have won more Super Bowls. I hate Matt LaFleur. He's going to prove that he's a loser when Jordan Love comes into the picture. So if I'm Aaron Rodgers, man, I love it. I love the diva things he's doing. Is it a little petty and childish? Of course. But look, it's sports, man. They're not politicians. To answer your question, I don't know. I think I want a first-round pick, and I don't blame you.
At this point, I don't care what we get. We can get a bologna sandwich. I just need to move on so I can focus. I'm just trying to focus on that future, but we'll see. I mean, who knows?
I already got my bootleg Jets Aaron Rodgers jersey. I already got that coming.
You already got it ready to go? All right,
I got it ready.
Cannot wait for football season. All right, y'all. We head to our next one on one sentence. The Carolina Panthers officially had the first pick. We've also talked about here in the last couple of weeks, but I'm just intrigued to see where you guys are on this one sentence. First pick. With the first pick in the 2023 NFL Draft, the Carolina Panthers select. Jansen, I'll start with you. Where do you see this one going? Where do you see the Carolina Panthers selecting on the number 1 pick? And what's your one sentence for that?
That's a great question, man. I think you flip a coin. To me, I think Bryce Young is going to be really productive in the league. He's going to be really good, going to go to a lot of Pro Bowls. And I like CJ Stroud too. I think he's a quarterback who is a smart guy, makes great decisions. I know these Ohio State guys sometimes don't pan out, but I think he's different. I'm 50-50, man. I'm 50-50. I would flip a coin on a funny note. Heads or tails. I like both of those guys.
I like that. Flip a coin. James, we head to you. 1 cent is the Carolina Panthers with the first pick select.
I'm going to go a little bit off the board here. I think they go with Anthony Richardson. I mean, this is a guy we've seen. His stock has been rising ever since the offseason began. He had a killer combine workout. He meets all the measurables, 6'4", 220-plus pounds at the quarterback position. He can throw the ball. He can run the ball. I really feel like, if you look at Frank Reich's offense, quarterbacks who've played in that system have done well. He's that prototypical guy that fits that frame and that dynamic. So I think they go off the board here and they go with Anthony Richardson at first overall.
All right, LT, swinging to you, my man, on this one. The Carolina Panthers first pick. Who did the Carolina Panthers select?
The Panthers select. I'm going C.J. Stroud. I think that Bryce Young is the safe pick, right? And I think that we all know and we all feel that Bryce Young is going to be an impact in the league. But C.J. Stroud has that. If you're not worried about the size, you look at his style and how smooth it is with him throwing the ball. I think that he will be the one that people say that he has the best combo of ceiling floor, right? Like he can come in and he may be the guy that is better in a pro system than people think. And he also, is going to be the favorite for, longevity in the league. So I'm going CJ Stroud.
All right, CJ Stroud on that one. I'm also going with Stroud. I think that he might be the move here. As you can see, we lost Jansen, but we should be getting him back here soon. I'm very intrigued to see what Carolina goes with this one because, to be honest with you, I feel like it could be one of three. And I really do think Anthony Richardson is in that mix. Do they kind of go with the guy that's, do you kind of go with the guy that has that, Cam Newton size body? Do you try to bring those memories back? Do you go on a completely different route? They have pieces there. But I would say my one sentence would be, we will see. But I think CJ Stroud, in my opinion, should be the guy that goes there. All right, next one on one sentence, we're going to talk about Mr. Zeke Elliott. Now, Zeke, ladies and gentlemen, has named a couple teams where he wanted to go to. And some of these teams have told him, "Nah, we solid." So with one sentence, and it doesn't have to be the teams that you see on the screen here, but one sentence, what's the best home for Zeke? And Lamont, I'm going to start with you on this one, man. What's the best home for Zeke?
Oh, man. Jay Quimby, get ready. I think the best home for Zeke may be the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. You think about it, Rashawn White is there. He's going to need a pairing. I think they signed Chase Edmonds, if I'm not mistaken. But, Zeke is still an upgrade. You got somebody who he's a perfect fit for a team that needs to, literally turn into a running team after the Brady era. Whether Trask has taken over, it's going to be, was it Winston? I just feel like, I feel like Zeke is he'll be a good fit there. He's somebody you can rely on. Again, he doesn't have to be the guy with Rashad White there, and early downs and pass protection, he can be a guy.
All right, James, we swinging over to you next, man. One sentence, best home for Zeke Elliott.
I'd say my one sentence had to be welcome to the Mafia, because I believe the best home for Ezekiel Elliott would be Bills Mafia, which would be the Buffalo Bills. We've seen throughout the last couple of seasons, they desperately need that running attack, that guy in the backfield that can help them chew up clock and chew up yards late in games to help out Josh Allen as well. So I feel like, he could definitely go to Buffalo. He could pair with the James Cook that's already in place there and really get things going in their running game.
All right, we'll swing to Jansen. One sentence, brother. Best home for Zeke Elliott.
I would say the best home for him, honestly, either the Bengals or the Eagles. I would probably Eagles first, because I know he feels some type of way getting cut by the Cowboys. It'd be a petty move, but it'd be a power move. I would love to see him go to the Eagles and stick it to the Cowboys, because Zeke has done a lot of great things, man. We got to give these running backs credit. The game's changed. They've been devalued. It's really ridiculous. And Zeke put in a lot of work. Looks like he's going to be a Hall of Famer potentially. If we look at the numbers and we look at things, we'll see what he could do to finish his career. But I say either the Bengals, they got the quarterback, they got the team already, or you look at the Eagles. I'd be biased if I said my Jets. Jets still have some things to figure out. They still have some things to figure out. On paper, they look good, but let's see where Aaron Rodgers' head's at. But I would say Eagles or Bengals.
Yeah, y'all just take Aaron first. Then y'all worry about Zeke later. That's where we're. I never thought I would be this person. I just want to move on as an organization. I love Aaron Rodgers. Y'all know how much I love Aaron Rodgers. I would defend him to the T, but I'm just ready to move on. I'm okay with it. Just as long as he don't go to Minnesota next year, we solid. That's all I care about in life. We'll see how everything goes from there. All right, everybody. Now we're going to head to our next segment. It is time for the fire starter. Our first fire starter, ladies and gentlemen, is about the Final Four. Oh man, we hit it as upon us. It took a little bit to get here, but it is here now. I'll be honest with you, wild and crazy month, but now we are here. We know our men's Final Four. We know our women's Final Four. The men's Final Four, Florida Atlantic, the number 9 seed, will take on San Diego State, the number 5 seed, and then the other side of the Final Four, you got number 5 Miami, ACC representative, taking on UConn. The number 4 seed, who is the highest seed left. If you'd have said that at the beginning of this tournament, people would laugh at you, but that is reality now. If we swing to the women's side of things, we got number 1 seed, Virginia Tech. Virginia Tech is this close, ladies and gentlemen, to winning their first national championship, and Wahoo fans can't trash them too much anymore. Anyway, with that being said, they're taking on a very tough LSU team, number 3, led by Kim Malky and the crew, and Reese, who's just as dangerous as they come. And then we have South Carolina, the undefeated South Carolina, led by Don Staley, taking on, oh man, I had a brain freeze. Save me, y'all. Oh, Iowa. There we go.
Caitlin Clark.
Look, I had a whole moment for a minute. I was like, wait a minute, Caitlin Clark. So let's go ahead and get this thing started with the fire starters. We'll go with James first. James, what are your thoughts on the 2023 Final Four? No clock, but you know how it works.
Man, honestly, man, like we said, it's just been a surprising tournament all the way up until this point. We've seen upset after upset. We've seen teams like literally come out of nowhere to kind of like take center stage and, have their moment. I know we talk a lot about a Cinderella run, but truly this is what it's been this year in the tournament. Honestly, I'm excited to see what actually takes place here. I feel like it's still anybody's game at this point. We could possibly see the 9 seed and Florida Atlantic move on and possibly play for the championship as well. Or, we could see a tried and true San Diego State team emerge and take on a UConn or Miami team, man. So honestly, I'm just excited to see what actually does take place. And then on the women's side, with Virginia Tech, possibly, being able to get it done this year, hopefully they do. I'd love to see it. But it's going to be tough for them in LSU and with Angela Reese down there in the paint. She's a beast down there. And so, it's going to be tough for them to see if they can get past LSU at this point. And then, of course, Dawn Staley, tried and true. She's been there. Her team's been there and done this before. So we'll see what happens.
I'm intrigued. The women's side is going to be tough. They said women's basketball has struggled, or women's basketball. Look, women's college basketball has never been the problem. If you ask me, women's college basketball has always been good. They've always had an audience. Now, I can't say that much about the WNBA, but women's college basketball has always had an audience, and we saw that last Sunday. LT, we're swinging over to you, brother. What are your thoughts of this 2023 Final Four?
All right, man. Starting on the men's side, it's definitely going to be a final for the ages, man. Florida Atlantic, they've been balling all year. They surprised everybody but themselves because they've only lost 3 games all year, right? They're taking on a team in San Diego State where they defend the 3 really well. You know what I mean? I think that, defensively, I kind of want to see the San Diego State matchup with whoever it's going to be on the other side, Miami and UConn, because it's going to be a defensive, the defense versus a really good team that can score the ball everywhere. You know what I'm saying? I got a chance to talk to Miami's players at ACC Media Day, and Jordan Miller and Isaiah Wong. They were really excited about their transfers, and they said, man, if we could put it together, it'll be something special. And that's what we're looking at. On the women's side, man, I actually got the exact Final Four except for one team, and the one team was South Carolina because I picked Maryland to upset them, but they were too much for them. But same thing, Virginia Tech, one of the best teams. You talk to Georgia Moore. She is a triple threat. She's a triple double threat every time she hits the floor. Beast. And I kind of want to see Caitlin Clark. I want to see like one of the best teams, even if it's Angel Reese and LSU, go against Caitlin Clark. Like that's, to me, that's the pinnacle. I want to see it.
It's tough for me. I think we talked about this a little bit earlier on the podcast, and I think for me, don't please Virginia fans don't hurt me for this. I want to see, and maybe it's the Virginia in me. Like I just want to see. I'm all
Yeah.
down for a team that's never won it before, and knowing that they're in the ACC and we cover the ACC, I kind of want to see. I want to see them kind of make some magic happen. That would be pretty cool to see if Virginia Tech can pull it off. But if they lose, that's what it is. But I would like to see them get the dub. I'm going to pick Virginia Tech. I think they find a way to make some magic in there. I think they will take on South Carolina. I just don't think it's going to be enough, man. Don Staley and them on a mission. They're on a mission on the women's side. On the men's side, I'm going with Miami. I think Miami. Jim Larriega. I say his name wrong, but I know Jim and the crew. It's been 15 years since he's been to the Final Four. Back in 2006, he went to the Final Four, and now here in 2023, he's back. To me, the other stories are great, but to see him make it all the way back with it, he's been in Miami for a while now. I would like to see him get it. Also, I would say Miami versus San Diego State. I think the Hurricanes bring the ACC championship, bring the national championship back to the ACC. How cool would that be next year, Lamont, at the ACC Media Day to see the Miami Hurricanes national championship trophy at the event? So we'll see how that pans out. And once again, Jansen had some technical problems, hoping to get him back on soon. If not, we're still going to rock and roll and keep rolling along. Next one we got on our fire starters. Hell, here's one for you. Moving on. Is it time for Bill Belichick and Greg Popovich to retire? Now, more people will probably say, leaning a little bit towards Greg on this one, but both coaches are, seeming to be a little bit down on the decline, or at least their teams are. The Spurs are just in a completely different place right now. But with that being said, and LT, I'll start with you first on this one. Is it time, for them to move on? Is it time for Greg Popovich and Bill Belichick to leave and have that next generation of coach come in?
It could be, but honestly, I'm biased on this. I don't want to see him go. Neither one of them. Only because for what they've done to the games, respectively, right? You talk about somebody like Popovich, man. I love to hate those Spurs teams. I hate them. I did, and I love Pop because he kind of reminds you of what the game was, right? It's a team, the Spurs, who I think won something like 50 or 55 games for 18 years, right? Every year. That's crazy, right? That you're talking about somebody who's literally donated a generation, a whole infant to an adult worth of basketball into the game, right? So so knowledgeable. But when he does say things like, nowadays that whoever makes the most threes wins the game, you know what I mean? Like stuff like that. Right, Pop, we get it. You're like, get off my lawn, guy. It may be time, for basketball to move on. And in terms of Bill, same thing. I'm a guy who loves defensive schemes, right? Of course, like everybody else, I love to hate the Patriots, but watching his defenses were amazing, right? Like he could literally take 4 or 5 guys who he could just move around the defensive line and scheme them in a way that they could be trouble for anybody on any given week, right? And to see them put that mastery around a defense and stop somebody, it's great. I love it, So I'm going to vote both of them stay in for as long as they can, just out of my selfish greed.
Nostalgia, just nostalgia. And I will say this about Belichick, when you kind of look at, there's probably a couple of guys on those Patriot defenses that'll be Hall of Famers because they were around Bill Belichick. They probably, if they went in any other team, probably wouldn't have been Hall of Famers. I'm not going to say any names. I'm just saying that that's probably the case. James, we're heading to you next, man. Is it time to move on for Bill Belichick and Greg Popovich?
I'm going to be honest, man. I would say for Greg Popovich, yeah, it's time. And for Bill Belichick, I say let's wait it out. Let's see what he still has. For Popovich, man, I feel like not necessarily the game is moving on from him or leaving him behind. I feel like it's more so the incoming talent and this new age star players that we have. Popovich was always a guy, fundamentals, half court offense, working the game that way. We've seen it with the championship runs he had with Duncan, Ginobili, and Parker, that style of offense that they ran. And it really just doesn't translate or fit in today's modern NBA game. And we're seeing it, a lot of the guys they do draft, they really don't develop well there. or, they look to get out and go elsewhere where they can possibly live up to that star potential. But it's just not clicking anymore, it seems, with his current crop of talent. I'd say, I'd love to see him stick around for the USA basketball circuit. But as far as the NBA side, I think it might be time to move on, man. It's just, I don't know if he's able to resonate with this new age group of players. I don't know if it's a disconnect there. But, can he still coach the game of basketball? I truly do believe he can. It's just not working with his players he has. So I don't know if he needs to just revamp the roster. I don't know if he needs to get them to buy in more, but it's just not working right now. So I definitely feel like, maybe just go ahead, pass the torch. Like I said, stick around for the USA basketball side of things. But I do think it's time for a change of scenery in San Antonio. But for Bill Belichick, man, I would say, I think he's still good to go. We've seen the last 2 seasons, ever since Brady's left. Yeah, they haven't been in championship contention per se, but they've always been in the thick of it as far as contending for a playoff spot and their division. Belichick's always been a guy where, defensively, he's always been on top of it. He's just got to figure out that offensive side of the ball. Like last season, having Patricia and Joe Judge run the offense, I think anybody could have told you that would have been a disaster. I mean, you having 2 guys who coach defense and special teams run the offense. I think anybody could have looked at you and said, you sure you know what you're doing here, Bill? But, like we said, they've always been in it. Even last season, despite that, they were still in it up until the very end, it seems. So, I feel like Bill can still do it with the best of them. He's just got to let someone who actually knows offense coach the offense.
Yeah, I know. Crazy, right?
Crazy, but I feel like he can still do it. Get a couple more weapons for Mac Jones. Hopefully they can do that this year in the draft. And you never know, man. We could possibly see them resurge and be right back in it. But yeah, I think Bill Belichick should stick around a little bit longer.
Yeah, it's intriguing because the Belichick side of things, I can still kind of see him maybe still being relevant there. Obviously, defensively, they really fell off defensively. That hasn't really. They've been kind of solid there. I mean, offensively, like you said, you got 2 guys on the defensive side coaching offense there. Just get you. And I know Josh McDaniels, and I think he kind of also did it to just kind of get his guys back into the fold. And then maybe it's like, well, we'll figure it out. No, man. And somehow, like you said, they almost made the playoffs. Now on the Popovich side of things. This is the weird thing. You look at it, his disciples across the league, successful. Like if you go and look, in Boston, Adunke, I'm always just trying to think. When he was there, they got into the finals. Wherever he ends up next year. So Buda Holton over there in don't know his name too, up in Milwaukee. And I believe he's got a disciple down there in Atlanta now. I mean, he's got a couple across the league. If you want to go with Steve Kerr, you can even kind of throw Steve Kerr in that mix. But he's got a couple of guys in the league that have won championships, that have been a part of his system and been a part of his way. So, I almost kind of think, are San Antonio kind of tanking, hoping they can get the young man from France and maybe they can change their fortune one more time? Well, they're going to have a good shot at him. And if anybody can coach international basketball players, it is Greg Popovich. So for me, I think I would kind of agree. Greg's probably the guy that's probably a little bit closer out the door than Bill Belichick is at the moment. All right, we move to our next one on fire starters. Here's a fun one for everybody. The NBA MVP race has been fun to talk about over the last couple of months. We're getting towards the end of the season, and it's starting to feel that Embiid has made a lot of leeway and maybe changing people's minds. Who knows? Maybe the stories at the beginning of the year or a couple months ago where, Jokic and all the criticism of him maybe potentially winning the 3rd MVP. Who knows? But at this point, fellas, who you choosing, Nikola Jokic or Joel Embiid, to be your MVP? James, I'll start with you on this one, brother. Who are you picking to be the MVP?
Man, for me, I would go with Joel Embiid. It might be a little bit of recency bias with Jokic winning the last 2. But I do feel like, Joel Embiid's made a strong attempt this season with his, reach for the MVP. Basically, I feel that, Philly's only gotten this far because of him in a strong sense. Yes, they're number 3 right now in the East, whereas Jokic and the Nuggets are first out in the West. But for me, man, I feel like, Embiid's having a better season. The spotlight's more so on him playing out in the East, but then also the way he plays the game, for me, is more aesthetically pleasing. So I would say, Joel Embiid right now would be my personal favorite for MVP. I don't know how everybody else might feel about that, but for me personally, I got to go with Embiid, man. Trusting the process has gotten us this far, and hopefully, the process can add an MVP to his legacy belt, and maybe even have a deep playoff run this year. I'd love to see it. So, Joel Embiid.
See what Philly and the crew could do. LT, we're heading to you next on this one. Djokovic or Embiid as your NBA MVP? Who you choose?
This one's tough. It's tough. I'm gonna go Jokic. I am. I think that honestly, let me first and foremost say that I think Embiid was snubbed last year. I think last year was Embiid's MVP year. To me, I thought it was clear. I thought that he was out in front. I thought he was the guy. I mean, the way he was scoring the basketball and even his impact on the game defensively was everything. It's even stronger this year, but I think the way Jokic has been playing, it's been out of his mind, right? Last year was the one time that I think Jokic averaged 8 assists instead of the 9 or 10 or whatever, or 11 out of this year and then the year before last. So I think that Embiid's best shot was last year. But the eye test is telling me the way that Jokic is playing and the way that he has the Nuggets first in the West, which we know is crazy. The West is absolutely bottom. And for what he's done as the leader of this team, and even watching him play, man, like the passes off the backboard, right? And how did he get that pass in there to him just scoring 15 points in a row, having 25 rebounds in the game? I mean, Embiid does some of those things too, but the way Jokic is doing it on a nightly basis in the West, I have to say that Jokic is the MVP.
This is a tough one for me, fellas. I'm gonna say I think this might be a makeup year. I think if you listen to how the narratives are going, I think they may give this to Joel Embiid at the end. I just got a weird feeling that it may end up happening. It's just like, all of a sudden, Jokic is having these problems and, people are starting to question him a little bit more. And the narrative just came out right at the right time. If Embiid continues to play well the way he's been playing down the stretch, I got a feeling that he may slip and they may say, look, we know we messed up last year. Here's your MVP this year. I got a feeling that might happen, fellas. I don't know how y'all feel about that, but I think that strongly can happen.
And I think a big adverse or one of the biggest knocks on Embiid is Giannis Antetokounmpo being right there, right? The fact that he keeps having his team be number one. Sometimes he dominates the matchup when they play each other. Now, don't get me wrong, because Embiid's gotten the best of him a few times.
Right.
But I just feel like that, that Greek freak, that constant right there, and everybody can see it, right? It's pure viewership when they're like, oh, well, he's supposed to be the MVP, but a lot of times, and who's to say that if you get bested by the Greek freak, okay, who hasn't? You know what I mean? But I don't know. I think that's one thing that could be a knock on them, even though I don't think they can go wrong either way.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see. James, you had something to say on it?
I was going to say, narratives always play a big part in it. Like you said, the fact that, Embiid just surging now at the end of the season and where Jokic might be having a little bit of a slippage, that always plays a big part into it. And, the whole media spiral, oh, Embiid's rising, Jokic is on the decline. Oh, he's losing his chance out on a 3-time MVP. So, all that plays a factor into it, I believe. And so we could definitely see that propel Embiid across the finish line.
All right. There it is for the fire starters, ladies and gentlemen. Now we're going to head to the main flame. Here's our main flame for the evening. Which NBA team was the most disappointing team to you this season? Now, this one's going to be an interesting one because those teams that are battling in the play-in game, there's a lot of disappointment down there in that play-in section of this NBA season. And LT, I'll start with you on this one. Which NBA team has
defer?
You want to defer? You're going to defer. James, are you good with deferment?
I'm still deciding. It's so tough.
Yeah, I'll go ahead and go. But
right,
like
James.
LT said, man, it's a lot.
We'll go to James.
There's a lot of low hanging fruit here. You could definitely go with the Lakers. If you want to go out east, you could say a team like Chicago, who was in it last year as a higher seed. Man, I think I'm gonna pick the Mavericks. This was a team last year. They made it to the Western Conference Final with Luka and the gang. They brought it back to start the season off, and everything was going well. Then it was like, we need one last jolt, one last pump to get us over the hill, and which they did in a trade for Kyrie Irving, acquiring him for the Brooklyn Nets. And so far, it doesn't seem like it's working as quickly as we thought it might. They're now out of it as far as the play-ins. Right now, I believe they're 11th in the Western Conference. So if the playoffs started today, they wouldn't even be in the play-in tournament. They're a game back or a half game back or so from making it in. So we just haven't seen long-term that connection and click between Luka and Kyrie. Hopefully we do see it, because I feel like, long-term, this could be a great solution for them out in Dallas. Maybe they just need to add one or two more pieces in the offseason. But I would have to go with the Mavericks, man. You were talking about a team last year that made the Western Conference Final, and now you're struggling to get into the play-in tournament. So I would probably say that would have to be the biggest disappointment, in my opinion. But, there's a lot of disappointment out there to choose from as well. So I'll be curious to see what LT picks.
Yeah, LT, we're going to swing to you, man. Which NBA team has been the biggest disappointment to you, brother?
I was battling on one team in each conference, and I'll tell you both of them. The first is, if you look at overall, right, in entirety, you got to say the Nets, right? Coming in, it was like, okay, this year they'll have a chance, right? They had the whole KD, Kyrie, Harden thing going on, the year before. This year they've got, a better bench. They looked like they were gelling for a minute, and poof, the whole thing's blown up, right? And I think that people ask, is that the craziest, the biggest super team to disappoint? And by far, it's got to be. I think other than those Laker team, that Laker team that had all the older guys on it, the Karl Malones and Gary Paytons and Steve Nash, because some of them could still play. Other than that, that's got to be the biggest super team disappointment I've ever seen. So that was my East team. And then the West, I'm going to go the Clippers, right? Because the Clippers loaded up. They loaded up at the beginning of the year. It's like, no way this roster, they had no weaknesses, right? They literally went out and got everything they were missing. And it just didn't pan out. Kawhi still has the little management going on. You got PG coming out saying that, he had to accept the fact that he isn't the guy. And I respected him for saying that. I did, because, in today's time, a lot of people frown down on that, and he's speaking his truth, and he's still playing. He's still balling out. But maybe you don't say that right now at this time.
Yeah.
For championship, right? Like, you don't look your competition in the eye. But I feel like Michael Jordan probably passed out looking at that. Like, you don't do that, right? Like, you wait until after, the competition is done, and you say, yeah, maybe, I had these thoughts in my mind. But hey, they went out, they end up with Russell Westbrook, who, is trying to resurrect his own self. So it's like, what are they really doing, right? Like, when you look at them, like, what? And they're some nights they look really good. Some nights it's like, man, they're really grinding. And then you look at the standings, and you look at when all these teams we're talking about, that's the last team on your mind, right? Is Clippers. And I'm like, what happened?
Yeah, it's crazy. It's crazy. The Clippers are a good one, because I don't know. You see certain teams, and you're like, all right, on paper, man, they look fly. Man. Ever since Kawhi's gotten there, they just, then they made it to the Western Conference Finals, as almost like the Mavericks. They made it to the Western Conference Finals the year against Phoenix, and I thought that might have been their year. I'm like, if this is going to be a year, this is the year the Clippers break through. And Chris Paul of all people said, no, not so much. And so they don't get through. And since then, it's just been a disaster.
Right. When they got John Wall at the beginning, I was like, this is
okay.
If he can play,
right?
This team is going to be crazy. Right?
No. And then James, with the Mavericks, that's the same dream. The Mavericks are actually, like you said, they were in it. I think they were like 5th, 4th. And it just seems like, and I don't know who said this to me. Somebody in the atmosphere, in our sportswear atmosphere said this, but two dominant guards have never went out there and been able to make it and win championships together. Like under these circumstances, being your main two guys. And it shows. Like, I don't think they're playing, but maybe they just need a whole season, maybe an all season together. I don't know. I still think it could work if they get another piece, but one person has to say, all right, you the man, and I'm here to be that too. And I don't think neither player is they won't say it out loud, and I think this was kind of the problem with Porzingis was there. Like Porzingis obviously was supposed to be the 2. I don't think he was trying to force to be the 1, but I just don't think maybe Luka's just not good with secondary, like big time talent, because that's what it's starting to look like. It just doesn't look that way. For me, the team that bothers me, speaking of KP, is the Washington Wizards. And maybe it's because I've had to write articles on them for the last 6 months. But what bothers me is when you look on paper, you say, man, it started the season. Okay, Monte Morris, a solid guy who should be a solid point guard for this team. Wes Unseld Jr. comes in, brings a couple of guys from his Nuggets team that he knows, and Will Barton. Now, Barton's not even on the team. He's in Toronto. At least he's going to look like he's going to see the playoffs. And they bring him in. Then I said, okay, they still got Rui. Rui's been doing some good things, here and there, all coming off the bench. You got KP. You got Kuzma, who at the one point in the season was just lights out. Mm-hmm. He was killing it. Then it's just like all season long, I've never seen a team go on so many 3-game plus losing streaks. It is the craziest. It's like, every time you think they were about to catch fire, 3-game losing streak. Every time you thought they were going to do something, 3-game losing streak. They were, at points this year, they went on a 4-game winning streak, 5-game winning streak, and a 6-game winning streak. And I'm like, okay. Every time they went on those streaks, I'm like, okay, this is the time they're about to turn it around. Even when Bill came back, it's like, this is the time they're going to turn it around. But no. Now Bill's in trouble for God knows what. He smacked the fan's hat off his head, and now all of a sudden it's assault and battery. I'm like, good Lord. I didn't even know smacking a hat off somebody's head can give you a assault and battery charge unless he put hands on them in another way. But this team to me is extremely disappointing. Now, the only thing I will to save them is that their bench is not as deep as it needs to be in order for them to truly run. But when you got 3 guys scoring 20 points per game, that can either one of them can take over on a nightly basis, and they just can't get it together. And to be honest, they haven't all played together all year long. It's just, I don't know, it's just hard to watch. And maybe because we're local and we see them a little bit more, and it's like, guys, come on, man. So it's disappointing to me because I feel like they should be one of those teams easily in the play-in, if not maybe 5 or 6 when you see some of the teams in front of them. But no, they're somehow, some way they're still in the mix though, Lamont and James. I don't know how. They still got a chance to make the play-in if they can, catch fire here in the last couple of days.
It's true.
Yeah, they're only 2.5. They're 2.5 games out of the Bulls right now for the final spot. So it definitely can happen. We could definitely see it. But Yeah,
I guess we'll see. In the West, I'm going to throw a wild card on you in the West, and I'm going to say the Pelicans, because the Pelicans at one point this season were number 1 and looking good, and ever since Zion just he can't stay healthy. Yep. He is low key becoming, God forgive me for this, Greg Oden. He is low key becoming Greg Oden with obviously a little bit more time. And you hate to say it, but he's never there. And when they need him the most, he's never there. And that's the thing. So we'll see. But for me, Pelicans in the West.
Last night when I don't know if you saw it, but they went up 20 on Golden State and got walked down. So that was it. There was a moment that went viral on social media where Steph makes this incredible, crazy pass. He's cornered in the corner. He makes this crazy pass out to Clay somehow across the court, and Clay knocks down the shot, and they were up 12, and everybody could feel it. The Pelicans were coming back, and then he hits that shot, and the game is essentially over. And the camera goes to the Pelicans bench, and if you just look at the depletion on all their faces, like it literally was just like, I can't believe that happened. Like, and it's just like, I mean, from Zion all the way down, like it was just like that's to me, that's like the capture of their season and how it's been.
It's been a really rough deal, fellas. A really rough deal. But maybe who knows what will transpire in the off season. But the playoffs are among us, and so we'll get to see who's going to make those special runs here in the next couple of weeks. All right, everybody, that is it for the main flame, and now it is time to put out the fire.
Fire, burn on. Fire, burn on. Fire, legacy on fire.
All right, so it's time for us to put out the fire here on Legacy on Fire. And so, I'm going to be generous. Y'all want to paper, rock, scissors to see who goes first here, or are y'all feeling pretty good? Or this time, James, are you going to make LT? I deferred to you last time. LT, is your turn this time.
I'll go ahead. I'll let LT go first.
All right, there it is. LT, it's time for you, sir, to put out the fire.
Out the fire. Man, we've done it. We said it once before. I think I'm gonna go there again. This as the NBA playoffs approach, this officiating, y'all have to get y'all lives together. Okay. Like I don't know what it is. Maybe because the game's getting more chippy, with all that, but refs getting in their feelings, teeing up Kawhi Leonard. That man has not talked in 12 years, and y'all done tee that man up. Like I don't know what's going on. He was clearly fouled. They're tanking games. Games at the end were clear. The call is clear, and you're missing it. Like what is going on? When are they going to be accountable? I just don't. It's trickling over probably to the MLB. You see my man get thrown out of the game on the Phillies for not catching the ball from the umpire when he ain't looking. Like my man can't even see. He kicks my man out the game. Like what are we doing, bro? What are we doing?
Hey, but what's going on with officiating though? I agree with you 1,000%.
That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like what's happening?
Are they under attack low key? Like, is this something where they're just trying to get power in the game back? Maybe they see the robots coming in trying to take their jobs as a South Park, right? They took our jobs. Maybe that's what it is. I don't know, but that's the vibe. That's the vibe that I'm getting. Like,
you think that they get mad because people dragging them on the internet and they go on social media and be like, "I'm gonna show you. I'm about to throw 3 MFs out the game." The next time I step on court,
hey yo, what's up? Hey yo, what's up, ref? Not today. Get out of here! Like, I just said, what's up, man? Like, what are we doing? So, but it's crazy, and I still think the one that gets me, and I know this was like college baseball, but the play from a couple weeks ago, where the umpire was so mad at the player, the ball was clearly like thrown into the dugout, and he called strike 3. At least that's the way it felt. The ball was way out of the zone. He called strike 3 and just walked away. Now, the other team wasn't going to win that game, or like they were down by 5 runs. But I mean, my man was just like, nope, that's it. We're out of here. Like, whoa, like nobody's going to say anything about this. Now, they did eventually get him. But the referees, man, like, I don't know what's going on. But look, y'all want fools. Yeah, look, and the NFL, for the NFL referees out there, I know y'all trying to get full-time status out there, trying to get, hey, man, y'all got to be better than that when next year come. If you're trying to get in that full-time status. And the NBA referees, I don't know what's going on. Like, it's bad. I don't know. He did throw my man out. Like, man, here's the ball. You're out of here. I'm like, dang.
I got up and was like, yo, I'm so confused. Like, what happened?
He looked up like, I don't know. I don't know. James, let's head to you, brother. It's time for you to put out the fire.
So on the referee stand, man, I feel like, I don't know if they're trying to get, some type of, sponsorship deal by, always being in the media for horrible plays or horrible calls. Maybe they're looking to get a Foot Locker sponsorship since they wear the striped shirts there as well. I don't know what it is. It could be that, they might have something in the works since they're not full time. They're like, look, if we keep getting this spotlight, we might could get this sponsorship deal and that could cover these checks that we're missing. So even in the XFL, I don't know if y'all saw it where one of the guys on the sideline got flagged for unsportsmanlike conduct for squirting the ref with water, supposedly. So, that was another thing. Like, even the head ref, when he was on they had him mic'd up for it. He was like, wait, he squirted water at you? And he was like, yeah, he squirted with the water on the sideline. And he was like, okay, all right, 15 yards. So it's like, I feel like, something's going on where these refs are trying to get some sort of notoriety. So get their name out there, get their rep up. But another thing I'll say that I just like to see be over and done with is the Aaron Rodgers deal. It's been a week or two since he said he intends to play for the New York Jets. And I know my man Jansen said earlier that he believes the New York Jets have won the offseason. I don't see how, when supposedly the biggest move they were supposed to make of the offseason, they still haven't made it yet. Aaron Rodgers is still a Packer. He's still under contract for the Packers. And if you're the Jets, it's like, again, how long do you wait for this man to be relinquished and able to join your team? It's been all off season. He had to go on the darkness retreat to figure out if he still wanted to play. He emerged from that. He probably did a little bit of ayahuasca whatever on the side to get his mind right. He wants to play now. Oh, he wants to play for the Jets. But Green Bay is like, hey, we need this compensation. And the Jets are like, hey, look, we ain't got it. Meanwhile, you're trading off pieces to Cleveland that you could have traded to Green Bay and Elijah Moore. Who knows what's going on right now between the Jets and the Packers? I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me. I have no clue what's going on. This could go all the way up until draft night at this point, and I wouldn't be surprised. I wouldn't be surprised.
I think you hit that one right on the hammer. I got to give you 1,000% on that one, because it's like, bro, what is that? I just knew Elijah Moore was going to be a Packer. I was like, they're going to put him in the deal. They don't even like him there. No, they sent my man to Cleveland. I'm like, what? Like, come on, guys.
It's like that's a key piece in the trade.
That's what
At
I'm
least
thinking.
in my opinion.
I don't know. I will say this. I just hope that they kind of figure that thing out. I hope they figure that thing out.
That's typical Jets fashion. It's like that time Vinny Testaverde, we watched him throw 42 interceptions in 2 years. It's like, bro, we just watched you throw 5 picks in the game. It's like, coach, you go to the sideline, man, we down by 14. What you want me to do? Coach is like, man, slang that thing. Like, what's going on, man? Like, I don't understand. Like, slang that thing. Like, I feel like, yes, what? Like, you should have set Elijah Moore over there. You should be doing your best. If you're all in for Aaron Rodgers, show us that you're all in for Aaron Rodgers, right? Like, it's like you talk a good game, and we see different.
I see that. All right, so here we go. I'm gonna put out the fire today. All right, so put out the fire. This is the thing that's been bothering me. Obviously we cover the Commanders, and every Commanders fan and their third cousin, most of them are like, look, go trade for Lamar Jackson. I have a news flash for Commanders fans. You're not gonna like anything I like to say here. When Ron Rivera tells you it's not going to happen, in this case, I don't think it's going to happen. Why, ladies and gentlemen? Because they're not going to make this move or make any move that way until the new ownership is locked in. The new ownership is going to want their quarterback there. Could you imagine being the new ownership and thinking to yourself, like, all right, we haven't even got in yet, and you done stuck us with this $200,000 bill with somebody we didn't want as our quarterback. And I think that is so Commanders fans don't even think that that's going to happen until that happens, or you're going to get maybe a big time quarterback in the future until those things happen. Look, it's not happening. I mean, if it does, by all means, you can come back and laugh at me later. But the ownership group is just not, the new ownership group is not going to want that. And I'll give it to this. And I ain't trying to go too political, but I'm going to go just throw that out there real quick. So y'all remember when Obama was leaving office, right? And they said, hey, man, we're going to put this, and a Supreme Court justice either had passed away or retired. And they said, look, man, we're going to go ahead and put our guy in. And the Republicans said, no. You said, yeah, no. They said no immediately. And said, no, this is not happening, because it should be the next regime that makes the decision. Well, that's the same thing here, Commanders fans. I want Lamar Jackson to come there. Actually, I believe he should be the guy there, because that would put that franchise right where they need to be, especially in the East. But unfortunately, that is not going to happen, because it's the same situation. The new regime has not given approval on putting that much money out there. And you don't want to handicap the new regime before they get in there, just in case Lamar is not their guy. That's how I feel about that. So fans, just let it go, guys. Like, it ain't gonna happen. Just look, let Sam Howell be Sam Howell. Let's see what he can do. Hey, the guy had one good game. Let him go.
Yeah, it's gonna be something. It's always something in Washington. It just feels like
something in Washington.
It's always like maybe you really need to handle this ownership thing once and for all. And it seems it's coming down the pipe.
There you go.
Like you said, first things first, right?
Yeah, first things first. That's all we can ask for,
man.
Man. Let's let's get that through, and let's go from there. All right, everybody. That is it here for episode 46 of Legacy on Fire here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. I want to give a quick shout out to Jansen. Jansen said he is truly sorry. His connection was treating him like a stepchild. Every time he came on, he kicked him right back out. We're going to have him back here in 2 weeks to come and join us. So, Jansen, thanks for at least giving it the attempt. We'll try back in 2 weeks, and when we come back on the air and try to get things rocking for episode 47. With that being said, before we get out of here, I want to say, LT, James, thank you guys for coming back on. It's good to have the crew back in the building to talk some sports and get things going. LT, is there anything you want to say before we get out of here?
Oh, man, just, I appreciate you guys. It's always, it's always a treat. Get to talk shop with the guys, man. Y'all be safe out there for sure, man, and hopefully we'll get a chance to do it again.
Awesome. And James, anything you want to say before we get out of here, brother?
A couple quick shout outs, man. First, I got to give a shout out to the Sacramento Kings, who is somehow our third in the Western Conference right now. Love to see De'Aaron Fox and Malik Monk, kind of a throwback to the college days of Kentucky. They're getting it done out there in Sacramento. The Kings are going to make the playoffs, boys. We haven't seen this probably about close to 20-some years, maybe.
2000, I think it was 2006 or 2008. It was either.
So
my child had just been born and she's driving. So
it's been a minute. And, the Kings are in the playoffs. Don't see it every day. So shout out to the Kings. Something new for the NFL. It has been approved for players to wear the jersey number 0 for this upcoming season. So they're adapting that from college football as well. It'll be interesting to see. Former Falcons wide receiver, now Jacksonville wide receiver Calvin Ridley. He's been the first player confirmed to actually wear number 0 in the NFL. So it'll be interesting to see how that goes along, but should be something good. Increases revenue. You'll probably have more players to swapping over. So always getting a little bit of extra pocket money ain't bad for the NFL.
Right.
And then of course, shout out to everybody on the network. Make sure to always, like, comment, share, subscribe, and tune in to everything else we have here at the Legacy Maker Sports Network.
100% on that. I will say this about the Sacramento Kings. I want to give a lot of love, and I don't know if he'll get the true head coaching of the year, thing that he gets, but what a great job by Mike Brown, right? I mean, an amazing job. Even when he went over there, because we've seen so many coaches in Sacramento. Like, is Mike Brown, is he really? Is he really going to be able to do what he needs to do? But no, they are playing great basketball. We thought a couple years ago they had a chance. But just imagine they still. I don't know if Halliburton if he was still there, how good this team really could be if they had Halliburton and Fox. But by all means, nevertheless, it's working. Congratulations to the King. They're going to be in the play. I hope they win it all, man. I really do. I hope they just make things happen. I love De'Aaron Fox. That's my guy. But also, I want to just throw a quick shout out to Coach Mike Rhodes.
Yes.
Coach Rhodes was absolutely amazing to us here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. He's leaving VCU to head to Penn State. $3.2 million is what I believe the number is to head and coach Penn State basketball. He's from Pennsylvania. He's a Pennsylvania guy. So it sucks. It really does suck to see Coach Rhodes go. But Ryan Odom, the Utah State head coach, will be coming to VCU. I just got the message on my phone. They said, "Hey, welcome to Ram Nation, Coach Ryan Odom." So that is officially in the books. I just want to say thank you, Coach Rhodes, man. You were always kind to us. The couple of times that we've interviewed you, we've talked to you in the press conference. You've always been 100% a great guy and just a wonderful person to be around. So thank you, Coach Rhodes.
Absolutely.
Thank you, Coach Rhodes. All right, that's it, everybody. Episode 46 here at Legacy on Fire. Thank you all once again for tuning in. We will be back in 2 weeks, y'all. Going on spring break with the family, enjoy a little vacation time, and then we'll be back. And guess what? Draft show coming up here soon. So be on the lookout for all that good stuff here on the Legacy Maker Sports Network. I'm Darrell Owens, along with Lamonte Thomas, James Brown. This has been Legacy on Fire.